Let's try that. Any luck there with the sound? You guys let me know if that worked. Oh. Testing 1 2, waiting for the chat. I think I got it figured out. Fixed. All right. I was using I'm technologically inferior. So that's what that problem was. Sound is on. Thank you guys. Okay, so what I was saying is I've been getting some people asking me if the live streams are going to be kind of the new format of the channel, and that's not the plan at all. The plan is to continue using these, but my editing software has been on the fritz, and I've been using that to kind of embrace this new form of uploading stuff. But very soon, I absolutely intend to actually, tomorrow is my first off day in a very long time, where I'm not scheduled to go somewhere or be somewhere. It's midnight right now when I'm starting this workout, so if that's any indicator of how kind of pushed to the wire I've been. But I'm going to make sure I have a couple of regular uploads tomorrow, regardless. If I have to spend 9 hours figuring out how to get my editing software to go to behave itself, I guess I will do that. I've got a couple of music things to maybe look into and get posted up, but I definitely have I have 60 plus videos of training footage that I've been wanting to make a video of, and I just haven't had the time to battle with my computer. So we're going to get that figured out. But tonight, the workout is posted in the description, so if you guys want to see what's going on there, you'll have an idea of what the plan is, and we're going to get going. CB, the first question of the night. What inspired me to become a powerlifter? I wanted to be stronger, and I just have kind of taken that, what I think, to what is the most logical extreme. So we're going to get warming up, and let's hang out, friends. William, 2:10 a.m. in Houston. Sup, y'all? Yep, it's midnight here, so this is definitely a late night / chance to hang out with some of my international YouTube friends who maybe aren't up the same hours I try to be. Jordan, what do you think of Bulgarian-style powerlifting training? Greeting from New Zealand. Well, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Jordan, I think that it has been proven to work really well for some people, and I think one of the biggest issues that you run into, and I've said this in a few of the streams so far, is that the problem when you have super high frequency, where do you go from there? That's the biggest issue, is that if continued progress requires you to do more now than you've done before, when you start to lift every single day, what do you add to that to be able to continue progressing past a certain point? I think it can be very useful, like for periods of time in your training, but I think most of the time for most people, the better long-term plan is to structure something that's a little bit more applicable to like a general lifestyle. If you have nothing to do all day but eat, sleep, and train, I think, and usually people who are successfully running that style of training would be enhanced in some way, so to help with their recovery, or just not getting a whole lot of overall volume. There have been times in my training life where I've done stuff like that, where I've tried to increase my frequency to something like squatting every single day with maybe 1 or 2 days off. Benching, I've once benched every single day up to a conservative max, did some back off work for like 37 days straight, and it worked great, but where do I go from there? So that was the biggest issue I had with that style of super high hyper frequency, I guess. Good morning, AZ. Good morning, sir. Welcome back. Welcome back. I keep saying I'm going to have these streams be earlier in the day, and I was just gone all day. Haven't had a chance to. I wanted to train earlier, but then last night's session got pushed back later, and you just do what you do. Jordan, thanks, Ben. I think I would only give go for a few months potentially. Yeah, I mean, if it's something you want to try, I wouldn't try to discourage you from trying something new that might be fun. It's just, I think it's a great opportunity to work on your mental resilience and your mental toughness. I think that if it's programmed and set up in a way that isn't going to be overwhelming and increase your chance for injury, I think it'd be very beneficial, and you get more practice with the lift itself, which I think is always beneficial. That was the biggest thing about Smolov for me when I experimented with that in the past, was that my squat technique got a lot of extra practice from all that volume. So even if the actual like adaptation and strength gains don't come with you, sometimes the practice can be really helpful. As long as you're using light enough loads that you're working on perfecting your technique instead of just pushing yourself and burning yourself out by running your recovery into the ground, which is where a lot of people you get impatient, and people tend to push their recovery to the point where it's not sustainable, and that's a big problem. PWRE, sup, Ben? Sup, man? Oh, welcome back once again to the late night stream. This is the committed crew / the international crew, I think. Who knows? Maybe I shouldn't get my life together and do everything on a better schedule so that we can all hang out with. Cheers. Thank you, Jordan. Tommy, hey Ben, do you recommend lifters do some type of overhead pressing for shoulder health? OHP makes me my lower mid trap sore as hell, and I'm super weak in comparison to my bench press. For general strength and fitness and wellness, I would say overhead pressing has more of a place to me than in a particular powerlifting program. I also have a terrible overhead press and a not so incredible bench, so I guess you can take that for what it's worth. I am highly injury prone when I do overhead work. My elbows and shoulders get beat up really, really easily, and so for me, if I were to implement it again, I would go very, 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 very slow, and you kind of have to sacrifice your ego with that, because it's the slowest progressing lift you could probably potentially do in terms of your overall like strength building lifts, and it's the one that you can really beat yourself up. William, is it true that the back can handle being worked every session? I train 4 days a week. I squat 2 of those days, and I deadlift the other 2. So I guess that's my stance on how the back can be. It's tough, and you have to monitor your recovery, but I think it's definitely doable. Should I film? I'm gonna use my camera and actually film these bench press sets too. We've got normal bench press for a 4x4, then we've got Spoto Press for a triple at an RPE set, and then some back off work, and then the conventional deads, and I've got my little clock over there on the side. And so once we get into these work sets, we're going to try to keep the bench work sets to about like a 3 or 4 minute rest period, and then try to do the conventional deads with like a 5 to 6 minute rest period, but we'll see how it goes. So feel free. You guys aren't distracting me. I invited you all into the session, so if I go slower because I'm talking to the chat, that's my fault, not your guys's. So Go crazy, friends. Too bad. 13 minutes to first set. Strong start. And again, for anybody who missed it, if you're missing the regular content and the live streams aren't really your thing, or you're not digging the camera quality, fear not. Real content is returning to the channel tomorrow at least. So I'm gonna have to have an arm wrestling match with my computer potentially to get it to work, but we'll make it work. Tommy Boy, goals for next meet, to do more than I've ever done before. I have some specific goals. The biggest one is to just finish with a 9 for 9 day and execute. I think at the Arnold we missed out on probably about 20 kilos because I botched the execution on a squat that I should have had, and so it affected the way we called the attempts for the third on my bench and the third on my dead, both of which we sandbagged a little bit. And so if I can do everything right, I think that we'd have a pretty easily reachable PR attempt. But the next meet that I have for sure that I'm doing is Nationals in October. So we're just gonna see what's there. I have some numbers that float around in my mind, but I try not to pick my numbers before I get there. I'm just gonna work as hard as I can beforehand to get there in the best shape that I'm able to, and we'll take what's there on the day. BD sent you an email regarding the Skype session. Let me know when we can set it up when you have time. Yes, I saw your email, and definitely I'll get back. Like I said, I just got back a little while ago, and it's currently midnight here. I was gone all weekend, and then even my session yesterday got pushed back till about 8 or 9 in the evening. So, Sif Maestro, Milben, do you have time to check my YouTube video? It's a PB on my squat 6th week of small. I've been wondering if I should reach lower depth or if this is somewhat okay depth. If you have a question, if you're wondering if it's low enough, then you may not be low enough. So that's before even seeing it. That's usually my response when it comes to depth and what someone should do. So I may be able, once this stream is over, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section, because these comments will all go away because I still haven't been able to set it up so the comments stay on the stream, but maybe I'll be able to see your name in the comment section once the stream's dead, and be able to go back to your channel from there. But for right now, I would say if you're unsure about your depth, then you should probably squat a little deeper. Jordan, in terms of the Spoto Press, do you think that it's beneficial enough of an exercise to take out a few bench sets per week in order to do it? You do the majority of your benching paused. My coaches seem to feel so, because they took out some of my regular benching and put in Spoto presses. The second half of the volume for this day used to be totally benching, and now it's Spoto pressing. Personally, I do have an issue with my shoulder, and I tend to heave or sink into my chest, and so we're trying to avoid that. So, Sif Maestro, all cheers, mate. Much appreciated. You're welcome, sir. Hopefully I have a chance to look, but definitely go with that. If you're ever wondering if you're squatting deep enough, you should probably squat deeper. LSH, Elish, I'll just say Elish. Ben, why do you wear elbow sleeves for... Why don't I wear them with the polka dot side facing out? I don't know. Maybe they're just... Is that the side that's supposed to be out? Am I super not cool? I could be super not cool. Gonna do this next set. I'll come back to these questions right after. All right. Not bad so far. Infinitely better than last night's workout. I'm actually glad no one saw that one because yesterday was really a struggle bus. It was 18. Yep. All right. Diamond Maker, do you ever find Spoto Press to aggravate chest inflammation? I've only had it in my program for, this will be the second week, so I'm not really sure. Inflammation meaning like tendonitis or related. Yeah, if you have a bunch of issues up here in like the pec insertion, your pec minor going into your anterior adult head, I have a feeling that pausing and putting a lot of excess pressure on that particular area could be not as beneficial. If you're having a bunch of, if you're already prone to those kinds of things like inflammation through this area in the chest and tendonitis issues through the shoulder or the elbow, you generally want to be very careful in the way that you approach all of your bench training, whether you're pausing it off your chest or on your chest or whatever you're doing. And make sure that you're very active in your shoulder mobility work, in your upper back tightness. A lot of people will lose that upper back tightness and flare their elbows too much, where everything should be locked in. One of my favorite things to think of is squeeze your scapulas together like someone's hand is down there, and then drop the shoulders so that the lats are engaged. That locks the shoulders into place. And even if you have a bum shoulder like I do, then it allows you to still press with relative safety. And the biggest issue I ever have is when I lose that tension and my shoulder gives out and tucks in. So as long as you're not having that happen, it might help you a lot. Civ Maestro, is it a big difference on the numbers from your meets total to the total from your best lifts in the gym? Depends. It depends on the person. For me personally, my best squats in terms of weight that I've squatted in the same situation that I would like, because I don't compete in knee wraps anymore, so my best squats are now meet PRs, and I haven't done those numbers in the gym. My best bench press, they're around the same. I can usually do about the same numbers because my issue with the bench is never really strength, it's that shoulder goes. And then my my deadlift, my meet PR and my gym PR are only about 10 pounds apart. On a stiff bar. On a deadlift bar, I've pulled 800 on one of those now. So that kind of throws everything off in terms of the relation of that. ADLSLN 335, what's your current best total and what's your next total goal? At the Arnold, I set my best, I believe my best total in the USAPL. I weighed 218, I squatted 650, missed a 672 that I was very capable of, and I'm still kicking myself for it. I benched 380 and I pulled 750, so whatever that amounts to. I think for the next meet, I'd like to hit a third attempt squat that I know I'm capable of. I'd like to, and because of that, I think the bench and the deadlift numbers were lower than we could have gone, and so I'd like to just hit the numbers I should have hit, and fingers crossed it'll be over 1800. It better be over 1800, but we'll see. Sam, count macros? Yes, I do. Currently, I'm not counting as closely. I'm not tracking as closely because we're going from the 205 class to the 231 class, and so I just need to eat. But yes, I generally do. William, what do I do for conditioning? I don't have any direct conditioning work at the moment, mostly because we're doing a lot of like high rep work. I did 5 sets of 8 on squat last night. That felt pretty conditioning-y to me. And usually I just manipulate my rest periods when it comes to time in between sets for lighter weights. And that's the biggest thing I do. If I was having a problem with my conditioning, like I was getting to a meet and didn't have my recovery was down or something like that, or I was having real cardiovascular issues, then I would probably do something like rowing or a stationary bike, something that's not too hard on the knees and hips and doesn't take a whole lot of I don't want to give my joints a beating. So that's what I would recommend for somebody if they're trying to get their conditioning up without also seeing a negative effect to their lifts. Would be something that's kind of low intensity, steady state, and something that's low impact. So yep. All right, Tommy, I'll be right back after and answer your question after this set. I was wondering if the regular benching feels easier because my body knows that the Spoto presses are going to feel horrible. And it's just trying to lull me into a false sense of security. Oh boy. Tommy, what kind of shoulder injury did you sustain? When I was in high school, my junior year, I had an injury in wrestling. The kid had his arm around under here, and I had my arm around his. Let's say this was his arm, and it was here. I locked it in and tried to pull through. That rotational force had some pops in my shoulder, and that was a big issue. I went to some physical therapy for it, got it mostly worked out, but never had it officially repaired. And then during my senior year, I continued to dislocate my shoulder over and over again, almost bi-weekly with football. And I was not the most careful with my body at the time, and so it just, all the ligaments, everything in here just kept getting looser, and it became more and more of an issue where it would just kind of slide out, and I'd have to reset it every single game, which was an issue. You don't want that to be the case for your shoulder when you're thinking about doing strength sports in the future. So that's what caused it, and then it's just been a long period of time to try and build up stability back in that joint for me. Plus, it doesn't help that my arms are really long, which are really great for the deadlift, but having a bad shoulder and long arms tends to mean that your bench press is going to, it's an uphill battle, and it always will be. So I accept that. That is the path I walk, the path of the slight advantage in the deadlift and the extreme disadvantage in the bench press. Jordan, I see in the description that your Spoto Press is minus 10%. I assume that's 10% decrease on the bench working sets. This generally appropriate intensity for Spoto Press relative to bench. That's a 10% decrease from the top set, which is a triple, which is an RPE set. So after this last set of 4 on the regular bench press, I'm going to put on a weight that I think I can triple at around an 8.5 with a 2-count pause on my Spoto Press. And so then when that happens, I'll take whatever that is and I will subtract 10% from that triple, and I will do 3 sets of 5 with that weight. So last week I did 315 for my top triple, and I shouldn't have, because the first 2 were super solid, and then the 3rd rep was absolutely a grind because my shoulder was just fatigued way more than I expected it to be. So I might go 305 or 310 this week. I don't think I'm going to try 315 again until I can hit a weight underneath it that is more comfortable in the RPE range. So we're going to do this last set, and I'll come back and get a... actually, I'll tell you right now. William mentioned wrestling. Do you follow MMA? I do, not as intensely as I used to. And there will be periods of time where I'll put a lot of time and energy into following what's going on in the MMA world. I watch a lot of Joe Rogan stuff, and so he kind of that's where I'm mostly informed. I don't do pay-per-view. I tend to not watch the fights live. I tend to watch the some of the things behind it. I'm not so much into the violence aspect of it, but I think of it as kind of a high-level game of strategical chess with the human body with very high stakes. So I wouldn't want to do it because I would not like to get punched in the face. I did wrestling in spite of my passive nature. I'm not a very aggressive person in terms of towards other people. So. Alright. 28 minutes. Now we're a little behind on that. It's not too bad. Alright, so we'll put the weight on for the Spoto. That'll work. $310 for a triple with 2 count pauses on the Spoto Press. Hopefully will not feel too horrible. First 2 reps should be fine. 3rd rep we'll find out if I made a bad choice or not. AZ, I don't have any questions about lifting, but could you tell me how you got into music and the a cappella performances? Music I was into from a very, very young age. My dad is a minister, and I used to sing just as long as I can remember. Oh no. No. All right. Yeah, like I said, my computer's on the fritz, so the live stream may drop a couple of times. That's not even my internet. That's just the computer acting up. Let's see. Up, come on. Stream health. Let's go. Ripstrum. Well, I can still see you guys, so I'll keep streaming. Maybe it'll just take a little while to get that going. Huh. Gonna go check the router real quick, and I'll come back and answer that question.